Glorious jelly beans, welcome back. We are still, once again, 6 months later in the same Bitcoin mental illness zone. Around 25,600, 700, it is what it is. I have the fractal that we seem to be following from the Mt. Gox Ponzi cycle. And if the overlords of whoever's controlling this simulation continue to give us what happened in the past, somewhere in mid-October, where coincidentally the SEC has to do its next round of the Roca Negra Bitcoin ETFs, right? That will be when we might get a liftoff. Maybe. You know, we don't have to follow this to the T. I have seen these fractals go the other way as well. We might also front run it. We might go up and then we might come back down later. And eventually we meet somewhere in the middle. And I want to take this time just to educate you because you are my baby doll, baby cake with a straight back. I want to teach you something. So, Telegram trading bots became a narrative in crypto. All it is you join some Telegram, it's a trading bot, and then you can get access to command lines to trade on MetaMask, on chain. You can buy, sell, set a stop, you can code it and do these weird things, okay? Not really weird, but add features, just clickety-clackety and typing in the buttons. Now, what the interesting thing is, I'm going to tell you something right now. I now have so much experience to share with you that it's going to blow your mind. And where am I going with this? Well, they are now all over Twitter. There are many influencers, God bless their hearts, who are making threads, Twitter threads, explanation videos, same as YouTube, regarding the trading bots. They're now talking about the new features coming, why the future is bright. They're now explaining the revenue, the price to earnings, the real yield. They're going into the intricacies now. This is why it's bearish. It's bearish because people are now understanding what's going on. Now, this is crazy to hear. Why? Because you were watching it go up and up and up and up when there was no info about it. It was just, what's going on? What are these bots? How does it work? But now that there are these threads, explanations, tutorials, now they're just being spread everywhere. It's a sign that it's over. Now, I'm not saying it's over as in go to zero. I'm just telling you this euphoria wave that we saw, this straight up only action where it just went up like, woo, here you go, like 14x in a straight line with no pullback. This type of behavior is very common in markets. Markets, they're very strange how they work. We price in the super speculation, intergalactic forces out there that we can't see, but we can just feel. And then when the reality comes that there are things like revenue share and taxes and all these other things that get thrown into the mix, which you would think gives you more certainty, the prices go down and stay down. It's crazy how that happens. What's happening is the market is always front running the future. People are coming in, getting excited. They see something coming in here. They use their available buy ammo. And then once the dust has settled, you get the people saying, well, these are the threads. Now, what's actually happening in the market is there are people bag holding. And instead of writing, so they won't write this, I am bag holding, here's why. They don't write that. They never ever write that. But whenever you see a thread on a long explanation, that's actually what it means. You know, this happens with stocks. This happens with any other asset, Bitcoin, Ethereum, everything in crypto. But humans, we don't write. We're not that honest. We don't write, I am a bag holder, here is why. Instead, they give you long explanations, right? Instead, you'll hear them say like, why the fundamentals are poised to go up. You know, that's the type of stuff you'll see and you'll read about. They'll start talking about, you know, why this thing is still actually cheap. Here are the revenues. Here's the explanations. Because what's actually happening is there's been a rinsing of weak hands and now people are now taking it into the next part of the cycle in their own mind. Now, we don't know if it's going to continue, but this is what happens with every single asset, every single crypto. Just so you know this, okay? So don't think now that you've come across information with these trading bots, oh, now's the time to get in, right? No, it's not. It's not. The time to get in was here when no one knew anything about it, all right? This is the time where you got to decide, all right, do I want to accumulate this for the next 18 to 24 months? Because it already had its narrative. That's where you have to decide for that. It's not going to be some sort of quick little pump and dump. Once this little euphoria thing is gone, the locusts go and move on to something else. But the locusts don't always move on, friends. They don't always move to something else. Sometimes they stay until there's no more wheat left on that grain. The only people in crypto who have no fear or doubt is the Bitcoin maxi crowd. And it's very dangerous, mind you. All right. I'm not exaggerating, okay? Hand on my heart. Every single Bitcoin maxi, I haven't spoken on one. Every single one believes $120,000 Bitcoin is the absolute bare minimum price coming ahead in this cycle. Absolute bare minimum. No questions asked, no deviations. They'll scoff at you if you tell them, you know, there's a chance you can stop at 60, 70, 80K, do a triple top, and now you're sideways, you made no money for 5 years. They will scoff at that. Scoff. That's why it's a very dangerous position to rely on. Why? Because remember, I already told you the secret to markets in my previous videos. Like, subscribe, bell button on. Make sure you press all the belly buttons in the world. Shock the algorithm, friends. Share with your friends and family. I told you the secret to markets is the P word, positioning. That's the secret to markets. All right. They always say there's no secret. There's no secret. There actually is a secret. All right. There is a secret. I'm telling you this. Over 10 years experience. It's positioning. How is the crowd positioned? People who are consistently winning are looking for the side that the crowd is not positioned on. But don't misconstrue what I'm saying. It doesn't mean go and take the opposite side every time. No. Because, you know, maybe sometimes the crowd is betting on heads and heads actually lands. What I'm saying is you look for signs that they could be wrong, because that's where the opportunity always lies. So what's the crowd betting on for Bitcoin? Now, you know, what are poopy heads going to do? Poopy heads and dingleberries out there, they're just going to say, well, what if Bitcoin just never goes up, it just goes down to zero? You can do that, but I'm going to look for relevant information today. I see 200 million people still holding Bitcoin. I see a US Fed who's got a treasury bond system that's literally on the verge of cracking. I see China about to head into stimulus because their economy is going down the gurgler. And this liquidity injection is going to support crypto. That's what I think. So the idea that Bitcoin is just going to go to zero, while there is always a chance, I'm not seeing any signs. So I'm looking for another trap. How about we go up and then go down first? That's the trap I'm looking for. So that's why it's not so easy just to say, well, you know, everybody thinks we're going up, so therefore get out. You can't do that. You're never going to make any money because, okay, you got the whole industry who's long. What are you going to do? Okay, get short. Doesn't work like that. That's what the bears are doing right now. That's why they're wrong. The bears, the smelly bears who poop in the woods, they believe that everybody's stupid because they're on the same side as being long. But if you want them to be stupid, you have to find information that shows that they are wrong. Are you finding any information that the market is interpreting and digesting where we're never going to go up? If you have that information, please share it with me. I'm guarantee you, most of you don't have it. We have 200 million people in the Bitcoin network still holding. And you also saw evidence from the US banking system cracking, and then they printed money, and then Bitcoin went up. So that's even more weight to add to us. So that's why I say a huge trap has already formed. It has. Don't get hurt. He's this cute, imaginary, little colorful Peppy. Do you want to see this cool chart? I have a chart here for you. This is the reverse repo. So you type in RRPO and you go to the treasury securities that are sold by the Fed Reserve in their open market operations. Now, the wonderful thing is that me and you don't trust them. I don't trust any of these numbers. I trust nothing. It's not on a blockchain. I can't see it. Friends, do you want to tell you something cool story? You know the CIA have leaked fake UFO stories, but they've left half of it to be true. And let me tell you how fake the story was. There was a UFO that crashed, and I think it was like in Russia or somewhere. Basically, I forgot where it was. But anyway, the CIA said that the UFO came from outer space. All right. they came from outer space and it crashed. Now, when the person explaining why it was a fake psyop, I was very shocked. And the answer was this. The UFO didn't actually come from outer space. It came from within Earth. And I'm sitting here wondering, like, why would they lie? And here's the answer. It's because they're trying to train people into the idea that, hey, UFOs are real, but don't worry about them. They're from outer space. Because they believe it's too much of an ontological shock to tell people that there's another prime intelligence smarter than humans on Earth, which blew my mind. So you see this? They gave you half truth, half psyops, all to make you believe that it's okay because they're coming from outer space. They're coming from a place far, far away. Don't worry about it. So when I heard this, I was like, wait a minute. I know this is crazy. How does this relate to crypto? I'm like, you know what's interesting? You know, everybody in the world now, we understand money debasement. We understand that the stock market is an up-only greater fool Ponzi. We understand the money printing now. Now, not everyone does, but more and more people of us are doing that. So as soon as I knew this, I was like, wait a minute. That must mean the government right now are spending so much time in the background figuring out how do they input words and sentences, copywriting experts, to try to get us to believe, don't worry, the fiat system is okay. It's strong. The stock market's strong. There's nothing to worry about, you know? So now we have to be skeptical of everything and question everything. Now, they had this repo thing that comes up out of nowhere. I want you to see this inverse correlation. It's crazy, right? So when the Fed sells securities, by the way, you can see the dollar sign here. It's up to 2.2 trillion up here. Enormous. So when the Fed sells securities, this thing raises up. So that basically it's like their reserve. And look what happens here. As it keeps going up, look what happens to the price of Bitcoin in the background. Crash down. So they basically slowed everything down. Now here's where it gets crazy. Because as the US Fed, here we go, it spikes up here, it drops back down, Bitcoin goes up. It's almost like they are spending these reserves to go buy stonks or something. Something's going on. I haven't done the full investigation and research of it, but I'm so skeptical. I don't even believe their descriptions and their paragraphs of it because it's not on a blockchain. You can't verify anything because look, I just told you they'll literally make up UFO stories just to try convince you. Oh, don't worry, they came from another place. Don't worry, humans, be okay. So you want us to believe that everything is fine with the fiat system? It's not. It's a load of baloney. But this is where it gets even more interesting because what's been happening? Ever since they've started to realize that the Fed has hiked too much. You remember in April when they're like, oh, the banking system's starting to crack. Look at this line. It's starting to go down. And as we've started to go down, you've seen Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin start to go up. Now, this is the interesting part. If you even go down on a little daily chart, you can see it happening even more. So this is actually cool to see. By the way, this is more related to stonks. And what I've done here in a flash is I've added the stock market for you. What I'm going to do is just hide the Bitcoin chart like so. And now you can kind of see it. So the blue is the S&P 500. Just to quickly show you. The S&P 500 has been on a huge tear, right? You can see it here. S&P, this daily chart. The S&P 500 going up and up and up and up. So hopefully it's going to keep going up and rescue crypto, maybe, or it betrays us. We don't know. But it's interesting to see as this thing... This is the orange line, right? As they've been selling securities, where's it been going? Oh, it's been going to the stonks. See, friends, they know. That's why I know. Every time I say this, I know. I'm like, dude, of course. The stock market is the biggest Ponzi of all time. They need it to keep going up. It's always protected. 56% of Americans have investments in stocks. They must keep it going. Whereas only 9%, 7 to 9% of Chinese citizens own their stock market. But 90% of Chinese citizens are in property. So that's why Chinese government has to focus on property. In Australia, I think it's like 70%. A huge amount of people in Australia have property. That's why the property is the biggest asset. In America, it's the stonks. That's why they do all these little weird mechanisms. It's not even weird. What they do is they just have different Excel sheets. This is all it is, Microsoft Excel. And they're like, okay, let's just change the digits out of this Microsoft Excel sheet. Okay, we've got $1 trillion here. Okay, let's just start funneling it into the stock market. And then what they'll do is they'll make another one like a year later, 2 years later, and the next crack, and they'll call it a different name. You know, this one was called A, this one's called like G. They make a new word every time. The repo, the reverse, the anti-inverse, hypergalactic repo. And they'll do that. And then they'll start using that just to print money and get it out. So what they're effectively doing is, remember the psyops from the UFO story, friends? What they're doing is they're finding another name, another reason to print money, put it into another Excel sheet, and then funnel it back in and spend it to prop up the stonks, prop up financial assets. That's what they're doing. Now, is it going to work forever? No. Eventually, the Bitcoin market is going to realize they're printing money. Why? It's because we're so thin, and the amount of money they print eventually trickles in. Eventually. That's why crypto moves in these cycles, friends. It's not one for one. There's money. This is fiat, right? Fiat goes around the world. So they print money. Fiat goes around the world. It goes to the banks. It goes to the oil companies, other institutions, all the scum. It goes around and around and around. And then eventually, here we come with BTC. This is our crypto. But it does loops around the world. That's why in crypto, we're in a wild, wild west game. There is nobody directing the money straight into crypto. That's why we have risk. Okay, that's why crypto moves the way it does. That's why when the money's circulating around, it's circulating around the world. None of us have any confidence like, oh my God, is it ever going to come to crypto? Oh, we're never going to go up. We're never going to go up. But then eventually, one of the players out there who gets a bit of the money. So that's what it's all corrupt money. It's all corrupt insider money, one way or another. Eventually, it passes enough people where one person says, you know what? Let's go buy some Bitcoin. And when they do, they cause the snowball. And then it ignites everything. And once everybody starts seeing the green candles, people go, oh, that's right. It's because of money debasement and money printing. It's still happening in the background. They can't ultimately hide it. We know the truth. Bitcoin is sniffing it out. So I hope I open your mind here today, friends. This is how I believe the future is going to happen. They're going to disguise the money printing with different words, different terms, different labels. That's what they're going to do. And eventually, the market's going to get a whiff of it. Because you already know, the US government can't just say, okay, QE infinity again. They're not going to do that because they know their competitive currencies start to rally against the dollar, and they don't want that. So on the bright side, even though the Bitcoin price has been going nowhere, so has the ETH BTC just chugging along here. I think one of the biggest positive boosted signs we can get is if ETH BTC continues going up, because that'll mean the world is truly catching on to smart contracts. And why it's important is because if Ethereum gains on Bitcoin, that means we are finding a use case for crypto and we don't even need money printing. That's the beautiful part about it. If people come in, stable coins, DEXs, different NFT gaming, social friend tech, all these other things, if they come in here, even though most of it's just speculation, right? Speculation and financial entertainment, even though it is that, it's a sign for us that, we are starting to stand on our own 2 feet and we don't need that money printer on. The money printer is nice and it helps, but we don't require it to be on for us to exist. But you know what will also exist? Our friendship. Make sure you tell mom and dad we love and appreciate them. I'm going to catch you guys in the next one.